Is anybody glad to be free? Alright. Is everybody good? I gotta say this, I'm kind of proud of you guys. You know, whatever it takes, I guess, but here cold weather and the heat here, you know, it gets warm and all that hot air goes up in there, you know, and you guys are all sitting up in there instead of down here. It's like, you change seats. We believe in miracles, so. All right, I'm just picking on you. Is everybody good?
Yes.
All right, I got some stuff for you tonight. Jeff came for rest, so I think this will produce some rest. I got some good news, and you know, we've been talking about the goodness of God and even asking for more of the goodness of God and to know and understand the goodness of God, and it's like an inexhaustible subject, if you will. And so, and the more you see, the more you want, the more you want, the more you ask for, and the more you ask for, the hungrier you are, and the more hungry you are, the more you get to see. So it's like this cycle, and I'm caught in the middle of it, and leave me alone, I don't want out of it. He's having the time of my life. Isn't there a song you sang about that or something? Or somebody does. Yeah. All right, so I just say our prayer is, I want to know more of the goodness of God, and so He just shows us more. And so I just want to share you guys with you some rest tonight, probably, hopefully, because it's always by grace. It means it's not by what you've earned, it's not by you achieving, it's always by grace. It's always the goodness of God that you don't even deserve and you can't even qualify for. It's always by grace, and that means it's His responsibility. So I think if me and you, we're going to enter into this relationship, and it's my heart's desire for you to trust me and for you to believe in me, whose responsibility is it to make that happen? But what happens is we take on the responsibility and say, man, I got to get my faith to a certain level. And now listen, you guys know I'm always pretty much controversial, right? So I don't mind being controversial. And so what I'm going to tell you, first of all, say disclaimer, I love faith. I love growing in faith. I want so much faith that I just become a maniac. So I'm saying grow in faith all you can grow, and we're in this process of that, right? So God loves the process. I get sometimes hung up and struggle about the destination. I want to get there. I want to get there. I want to get there. But God's more celebrating the process than He is the destination. He likes watching us grow, and so I found out it's all by grace, and it's His responsibility even. And so I'm saying I try to take the responsibility of saying I've got to do so much, I got to hunger so much, I got to believe so much, I want my faith to grow. I'm a maniac, right? And so if you don't watch out, you'll look up and you say, well, I'm not there yet. And what can happen is real easy. Now watch. One of the gifts of the new covenant, one of the gifts that Jesus provided for us is the gift of no condemnation. Now when we think about condemnation, we think about sin and being guilty of this or that. But what about condemnation? Condemnation is the enemy of faith. Condemnation is the enemy of faith. You got condemnation in your heart, I mean, it'll just knock your wind out of your faith. And that stuff will sneak up on you. And so I'm saying it could be condemnation to say, man, I'm not growing fast enough, or man, I want to hurry up and get there, or I want to, you know, because if you believe in total victory, if you've been here very long, you realize we believe in total victory. We believe that when Jesus said, pray like this, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, that He meant that. And so that's the standard for me. So my standard for me, and I don't mean it as a law, but you know what I mean. The standard for me is the will of God for us in the earth is the same as His will in heaven. So I'm not settling for anything else. Now there's a process to get us there, because we didn't start out there. And so if we're not careful, we'll say, man, I'm not there yet. Man, this one didn't get healed. Or man, I believe in total victory, but I didn't get it this time. Or Come on, are you with me? Or just me? I believe in healing, but I might not have seen it in this case, and so I got to grow more. I got to get my faith stronger. You with me? That can turn into condemnation. That can turn into guilt and self-consciousness and say, you say I'm not there yet. And that sounds honorable, but I'm not there yet can turn into real easy, I'm not good enough. And I'm saying this is right. Jesus said this, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So I feel like if I'm getting to this place where, I need some more faith. Now look, it's good to grow in faith. I'm saying you want that. Don't hear me saying that's not good and that's not what you want. But it can't be the focus. The focus has to be grace. The focus has to be, it's the goodness of God. And it's His responsibility to expose that and to reveal that to us. And in that place, faith rises. And in that place, we grow for more. And we got to stay away from this self-conscious guilt, condemnation stuff of I'm not there yet. I believe in total victory. So here's this thing. This group of folks right here, we're unique. Fair enough. As I found out, we believe. I mean, you don't stay around here very long if you just want to be an unbeliever. I mean, if you just want to be religious and one of these fuddy-duds and just be religious and say, well, I ain't believing all that, We're not that. There is that. I know folks that are just like, healing and victory and all this stuff you won't believe in. I ain't believing all that. That ain't, I mean, you all know, right? I'm not talking about that bunch. I'm talking about a bunch like us. We believe. But we're still in the process and we're not all the way there yet. I'm talking to that bunch. I'm talking to me. I'm talking, just Jeff saying to himself, I'm just going to talk to myself tonight, all right? Talking to me. Because I found this, Jacob, he did Bible study last night. He did an awesome job. He read this one passage and it just hit me, stirred me ever since, and I'm not over it yet. But you guys hear it. We refer to it all the time, but it's in Mark, it's 9 or 10, I think, maybe 9, where the boys try, the dad brings his son, and the son's got a devil, and it seizes him up, and he has convulsions and throws him in the fire. You remember the story? And it tries to drown him and tries to kill him and all this stuff. And the father brought the boy to the disciples, and the disciples didn't get the job done. And the Pharisees are arguing with them and all this going on. And Jesus comes down from the Mount of Transfiguration, and he says, what's going on here, And the guy says, I brought my boy to your disciples, and they couldn't get him healed. And so Jesus says, you faithless bunch, how long am I going to be with you? Bring him here, I'm going to show you again, right? And so he said, if you can, the dad said, I'm paraphrasing Jason's version, the dad said, if you can help me, And Jesus said, if you can, if you can, and so then he said, nothing's impossible for him who believes. And the dad said this, I believe, but help my unbelief. So here's this thing, here's this guy, he believes. Obviously, he brought the boy down there. He heard something. I don't know if he met Jesus before or how, it doesn't say, but he'd surely heard something. The news of what Jesus could do and what he was like and all this stuff that was happening somehow pierced his heart, somehow produced something in him, because he came down there to get relief. He wanted help for his boy, and he shows up here. So he had some level of believing. He wasn't just one of the Pharisees over there grumbling and arguing about, what do you think you're doing? I don't believe that stuff, and there are no miracles, and that was for another time, and you don't believe in it. You crazy for believing all this stuff, right? I'm not talking about that bunch. That bunch was there too. That bunch is still here. I mean, not here, but down the road. Not talking about that bunch. Here this dad says, I believe. I do believe. But I still, let me put it in my own words, I'm still not all the way there yet. And I'm thinking, man, you know, we hear all this stuff. Well, you got to have faith. I mean, you can't have any doubt. The reason this didn't happen because you've got unbelief, and there's unbelief in the room. Run them out, and all this stuff. And we got 9 reasons why it didn't happen, and all this stuff that's infecting our belief system, and all this stuff. And so he asked Jesus. I would say Jesus is God, right? And if you're having a conversation with God, what's that called? Prayer, right? So, okay, so here this guy is, and you say, ask Jesus, you can say, this is his prayer, help my unbelief. And here's what, you know, we've said, even us believers, and I'm not talking about unbelievers, I'm talking about believers. We believe in victory, we believe in healing, right? And so, but we say, well, I didn't see it this time, or it didn't work, and they prayed for him and nothing happened. In fact, it got worse, right? And we got all these reasons why it didn't happen. And then the guy admits that he has unbelief. And here's the goodness of God, the grace of God that shows up. What happens? Because as far as we believe, he's got the whole recipe for it to not happen. But here Jesus says, bring the boy to me. Heals him just like that. Now I'm thinking, what? Unbelief? And he heals him? What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? Then I saw where the guys are getting in the boat. You know, all the disciples, I mean, a lot of them are professional fishermen. They live on the water. They live in a boat. I mean, they probably don't scare easy. They're roughnecks. Right? So Jesus says, let's get in the boat. We're going to the other side. And a big storm comes up. Right? Now, let me just read it. I got it marked. Let me just read it. This is Matthew 8. Matthew 8. Listen to this. When he got into the boat, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being covered with the waves. But Jesus himself was asleep. Jesus was sleeping. And they came to him and woke him up, saying, Save us, Lord, for we are perishing. And the others play this story's in other books, and it has a lot more details. And it's like bad, and they're freaking out, and they're panicking, and they're having a conniption, right? And so they wake up Jesus. Save us, Lord. We're perishing. We're dying here. What? He said to them, Why are you afraid, you men of little faith? Why are you afraid, you men of little faith? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and it became perfectly calm. The men were amazed and said, What kind of man is this, that even the winds and the seas obey him? Right? So here the disciples are freaking out, right? Jesus says, Why are you afraid? So there's the presence of fear, and they have no faith. Now that's a perfect recipe for you to not get your prayer answered, right? I know you think I'm setting you up, don't you? Afraid to say. So again, they're crying out to Jesus frantically. They're believers. They've already witnessed untold. I mean, they've already witnessed so much. It's crazy, right? They believe. They have some faith. I think he said little faith. So they had a little. You men of little faith. So they had a little bit. Little bit was getting drowned out by all their fear and their panic and everything else. And so we could say they're crying out to Jesus. Again, we could say that's praying. So here their prayer is full of fear, afraid, panicking, and little faith. We think that's a perfect recipe for them to not get their prayer answered. They said, Save us. And he wakes up and calms the storm. He answers their prayer. When they're full of fear and have little faith. I'm thinking, what? Now wait just a minute. This is not right. We're supposed to be people of faith. We're supposed to not have any doubt. We're supposed to not have any fear. I'm just giving you a little rest tonight because we're in the process. that the goodness of God is better than your fear, that the goodness of God is better and knows where you're at in the process. In fact is, He's taking on the responsibility to say, if I want you to become people of faith, if I want you to grow to the place where there's no fear, if I want you to get to the place where you don't have any more unbelief, I'm going to have to do something and perform these miracles and to build your faith up, because the responsibility is mine, not yours. So here we are again. It ain't on me. Now again, I like it. I'm getting there. He's my hero. I'm going to be just like Him. I'd just soon it'd be faster than slower, but I got to remind myself of this and tell myself it's not me. It's not on me, and I'm not going to be condemned. I'm not going to condemn myself and be hard on myself because I ain't there yet. I'm going to say, you know what, I ain't there yet, so you're just going to have to show me some more miracles and expose me to more of your goodness. And so just go ahead on and heal them even when I don't get it right. Go on and show us your goodness, and go on and perform the miracle anyway. And when we see your faithfulness and your goodness, again, we grow and get raised up. And come on, have I got the right bunch, or you all don't deal with none of this? You all there yet already, or what? Just me. Because it bothers me to not win. It bothers me when Mark 16 says, those that believe. These signs follow those that believe. That's what it says. They lay hands on the sick and they recover. It's what Jesus... It's written. Jesus said, these signs follow those that believe. They lay hands on the sick. There's a list more. But they lay hands on the sick and they recover. Not every time I've laid hands on the sick did they recover. I refuse to be okay with that. But I also refuse to condemn myself and feel guilty about it and say, I need some more. You're just going to have to continue to show me. It's your responsibility. You want me to be a believer more than I wanted to be a believer. You chose me, remember? I'm not getting sassy with God. I'm just saying, it's His deal. It's His responsibility. He wants me to lay hands on the sick and they recover worse than I do. Now we fell in love and our hearts are one and all this, and so now I want it too. I love it. That's my favorite thing. I'm saying it's His deal. And He wants us to be believers worse than we want to be believers. So I'm saying I got to get myself out of this place of condemnation and self-consciousness where I can say, you know what, I'm not all the way there yet, but it ain't resting on me, and it ain't because I've got it all figured out, and they're not getting healed because I've got perfect faith and I'm such a great man of faith and I'm the preacher and I know more scriptures than you. And so I would say this group right here, we got a lot of faith and we're believers. Believe more than most. We believe more than most. I'm proud of that. But we ain't there yet. So I just like take on the same heart as the dad and say, I believe. Help my unbelief. What does Jesus do? Say, well, bring your boy back when you get rid of that unbelief. Bring your boy back when you get a little more faith. Come see me. Go home, meditate a little longer. Pay your tithes. And what He did. In the face of unbelief, He said, I'm going to take the responsibility of raising your faith level upon myself. Here, bring the boy to me. Here's your miracle. Man, I feel like somebody, I mean, we all been believing for stuff. We all have needs of miracles, whether it be healing or whatever, family deals, children deals, whatever. Everybody's got all kinds of different stories. And I kind of think like, if we could rest if we could rest and get in the place of, it's not my responsibility. Now look, I know most people won't say that because religious people will say that, well, you're saying to be irresponsible. I'm not saying to be irresponsible. I'm saying it's not my responsibility to produce anything. It's my responsibility to submit to the goodness of God. It's my responsibility to say, okay, I see your goodness and you're good and I believe you're even better than I think. Bill Johnson say, if God's better than we think, then we need to change what we think. He's still better than I know. So I want to know more. And who's going to have to be responsible for that? I think we're going to shift gears with this right here. This is, I don't know if it's for you guys. Is this for you guys or just for me? So I'm saying tonight, no pressure. I'm saying let yourself off the hook because you might as well admit, yeah, there's still unbelief in me. Don't be condemned by it. Let's rely and pursue the goodness of God and say, hey, I believe. I'm believing as much as I got to this place because faith comes by hearing. My faith is the level to what it is that I've heard. Well, I've only been here 42 years. I could only hear so much. You think I got faith now? You wait to see me when I'm 100. Because I'll have heard a whole lot more. This is going to be fun. I hope some of you won't be here still, but I'm going to be forced to be reckoned with when I'm 100. Because I'm growing. And that's a long time from now. I'm going to see a whole lot more. I'm going to hear a whole lot more. And I'm going to experience a whole lot more of the goodness of God. And the more I see of it, the more my unbelief's going to leave. And I'm just going to let Him carry me through the process. It's on Him. I'll go. Here's our part. You ready? Here's our part. I believe. The rest is on you. I can't pick it up and say the whole thing's relying on how much I do to grow my faith. Now listen, I know that sounds like I'm saying don't do anything to grow your faith. You know I'm not saying that. I'm an addict. I'm a maniac. This is why I got to say this to me because I want it so bad. It's easy to fall into, well, I got to do. I got to get myself to this place so that God can use me. Come on, I'm not even talking about sin and all that nonsense that religious brings up. I'm talking about walking and living by faith and living in the things of God. Because I see that Jesus walked the earth as a Son of God with no sin on His record. And then He said, I'm putting you in the same place that you're now a Son of God with no sin on your record. And everything that I could do, you can now do. The things that I do. And even, I'm just trying to get to the things. He said more. I just can't take it upon myself to get myself there to that place. Even though it's a good desire. I want the things of God. Hungry for the things of God. But if I'm ever going to get there, it's going to have to rest on the shoulders of God. And I'm no longer going to miss the miracle because I'm worried about whether I have enough faith or whether I have unbelief still. You see how He's tricked us out of it sometimes by that? Alright, I just believe somebody's going to receive their miracle from this, receive their healing from this because it's on Him. Everybody say, I believe.
I believe.
That's your only part. I believe in total victory. I've decided to believe. Can I explain everything? Nope. I got it all figured out? Nope. Long ways from it. The more I learn, the more I see that there is that I don't know yet. I just believe. I believe in the goodness of God, I believe in the grace of God, and I believe in the power of God, and I just want more of it. And so if I'm going to get any of it, it's going to have to be because He chooses so, and He did. So I'm not going to continue to resist that and block that because I'm worried about whether I have enough faith or whether I still have any unbelief or not. The fact is, you do. We do. Now, I don't know about you, it produces rest in me. Say, you know what? We can go on and get our miracle tonight, even though we're not all the way there yet. Is everybody good?
Oh, yes.
I don't know what you want to do. You want to sing something? Or no? You got one? If you got one, sing it. If you don't, we'll go home. And probably I'll chew on this a little anyhow, so. I don't know what it is that you believed for and haven't necessarily seen, or what appears to be not working. It could be because He's waiting on us to realize that it's not on us. Because if I believe it's because I have faith, my faith is now my faith. Faith has to be in the grace of God, that He's good and He qualified us, and that His will for us right now is the same as His will is going to be for us when we get to heaven. Total victory. Let's just say, I believe. Man, it feels good to me. All right, I better quit. I love y'all. Everybody good? All right, watch Him go now. Watch Him go. That's all I'm saying. Watch Him go. Love you.
All my life, You have been faithful. All my life, You have been so good. And as long as I am able, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. I love Your voice. You have led me through the fire and darkness and night. You were close like no other. I've known You as a